So today we are going to be talking about 5 mistruths that sellers say and what they really mean when they come out of their mouth. That's the topic of today's show. But before we jump right into it, head on over to nextlevelwholesaling.com and I've got a special gift there for you. If you've ever wanted a business that spits off cash month after month after month without your personal day-to-day involvement, you got to take the Next Level Wholesaling assessment. Got to tell you, this is something that my mentor had me take when I was first looking to get off that treadmill, and I've taken it every single quarter since then. It is my gift to you. It's going to take you about 5 minutes. Ask some questions about your business. It's totally confidential. As a matter of fact, it's offline, so no one else will see it. And after you take it, your eyes are really, really going to open. You're going to be like, wow, I want off this treadmill right now. And here's the very, very next thing that I need to do. So go to nextlevelwholesaling.com. Totally free, totally confidential, and I think you're going to love it. All right, so let's talk about these 5 mistruths that sellers say. I can tell you that after doing close to 1,400 deals, I have definitely seen my fair share of mistruths. And the funny thing is that when these things come out of a seller's mouth, I don't think they're lying to you. I really think that most sellers are confused. They don't know the next step. They are overwhelmed. And the good thing is that they're pretty recognizable. So I'm going to give you my top 5 here today and how to handle them. What does this mean for you? It means that you are going to be doing bigger deals. When you recognize this, you're going to be able to help the seller solve the problem, going to compress that timeline. Okay, means that you basically get that deal closed sooner, and then also eliminate those prospects who you're never going to be doing business with. And I got to tell you, this is like 70% of the business is eliminating the time wasters. So you could focus on that 20 or 30% of people who are ready to do a deal today. And that's code for people that you can help. When you help people, guess what? You make big, juicy profits. All right. So let's pretend like you're meeting with a motivated seller, right? They've got a problem and they've got all the signs, right? They tell you that they'd like to sell in the next 30 days, that they're ready to do business today. They tell you about the horrible tenant that they have and how the house is in need of repairs. Oh, so you run over there with your contract. You're so excited. You think you're going to get the contract signed, and all of a sudden you whip out the contract and they say, oh, I want to think about it. Man, that is soul crushing. It is like hitting you in the kneecaps for most people. But don't worry, because you are a student of the No Limits selling system. Okay, that's the system that I use to lock up big, fat, juicy deals, and my best students do. So I will give you that link here in a second. But the I want to think about it is very, very simple. It really means one of 3 things. Number 1, I'm not happy with your offer. Number 2, I want to shop you. Or 3, I have another situation in which I am not telling you about. Right? So it is one of those 3 things. And let me tell you how to handle this. Whenever you have someone tell you, I want to think about it, you want to ask clarifying questions. So I might say, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, let me ask you a question, just so we're on the page. And I want to let you know at any time, if I'm not a fit, you can tell me no. So you see how I pull away there? I create this like I'm backing away. I'm running away and I'm not chasing you, right? I want to let you know it's okay to tell me no. But just so we can decide and help you decide maybe if I'm a fit or not, can you tell me really just specifically, and you can tell me anything, right? Up front, I'm not scared, what you want to think about, right? What's in the back of your mind? What's bothering you about the deal? Now, you could say this a number of ways. You could say, what's making you uneasy? What's keeping you up at night, right? What's the resistance here? I'm feeling, right? You could say, I hear this tone in your voice that tells me you're uncomfortable with what we just spoke about. Tell me what you got to think about. And again, by the way, you could say, I hate you, Todd. That's okay. I'm okay with that, but at least we know. That will flush it out. Watch your tone, right? Don't be condescending. Don't be rude. Don't be pushy. It's almost like I'm walking out the door right now, okay? And so they usually will tell you, they might say, you know what? I really just wanted $10,000 more. And then I might clarify, okay, well, great. I'm not saying I could do this, but if I could give you $10,000 more, what would be the next step? So you see how I clarify that, okay? And I'll say, I'm not saying I could. 2, I want to shop you. Now, this one's a little bit tougher, right? No one likes to compete with another investor. You could say, okay, I understand that. Is there anything about my offer, right, that is actually preventing us from doing business here today, right? And see, that is also might be a price objection because they want to do better, right? Maybe they don't trust you. Maybe you haven't built enough rapport, right? If that's the scenario, if they tell you, I just want to meet with other people, here's what I would do. I would spend the next hour or two building a relationship with this person and say, I totally get that, and make a friend in that scenario. Totally let go of the sale, the acquisition. And by the end of that hour or 2 hours, they may just say, you know what, let's not shop. Let's just get this deal done. So as you're walking out the door, you may say, hey, I know that you may decide to go in another direction, but is there anything, that could have been different, that, maybe we could have done business today? And again, they may say, you know what, we like you. We want to do business with you. So that's another way. The third one could be another situation that you don't know about, right? And so all of a sudden they're going to throw at you, the relative that's living in the house, maybe the decision maker they didn't tell you about, the connection they have to the house, or the stuff that they need to get out. And so you really want to listen at this point, but don't just leave, I want to think about. Make a friend and ask those questions. By the way, I go into this in detail in the no limit selling system, which if you're in this business and you take yourself seriously, you got to buy. And you can check that at nolimitsalesystem.com. Go ahead and check that out, nolimitsalesystem.com. All right. Number 2. This is a good one because we hear this a lot. Let me talk to my tenant first. Now, I find that when someone says, let me talk to my tenant first, they are usually, right, that's the mistruth a little bit, because really what they mean is my tenant is complete control of the situation, right? They give me the terms of when I show the property, how I fix it, how much I charge for rent, usually. And so they want to, or they may have a relationship with their tenant and they don't want them to have to move, right? And sometimes, hey, guess what? It sucks to move, and I get it. So for me, what I'm going to do is you got to get the seller in control of the tenant and coach the seller on how to deal with the tenant. So I'll say, Mr. Seller, do you mind if I ask you a couple questions about you and your tenant? No, sure, girl. Go ahead. Tell me about that relationship with your tenant. How do things normally work, right? And they may start telling you that they're good friends, or that maybe the tenant pays below market rent, or doesn't have a lot of income, or doesn't have any other place to go, or whatever this is. So I'll say, okay, and how does that make you feel? Right? And I might say, well, the good thing is if we don't do business, right, 6 months or a year down the line, the good thing is you don't mind holding the house. And just kind of dig out that pain. Once you dig out that pain with that, right, you put a little salt in that wound, right, that really the tenant is in charge of the landlord, and the landlord is really subsidizing the tenant's cost of living, I would simply say this, right? Hey, would it be fair for, number one, for you and I to make an appointment for you to talk to your tenant? That's great, and so I'll say, okay, I'll talk to him Tuesday at 5. All right. So what do you want to talk to the tenant about first? And by the way, you could tell me anything. If you want to tell me to go take a hike, that's fine too. And they'll say, well, I want to see if they want to buy it first. Boom. Now you got the objection. Okay. You got to dig deep. You got to dig deep and find out that objection so that you can handle it and push the sale forward. All right. I probably just totally blew up my mic there, but, that's the real scenario, right? Now, the seller knows underneath that the tenant is not going to buy the property. So then you got to get a deeper commitment. Again, I talk about this in the no limits selling system. And that is, Mr. Seller, okay, I know your seller wants to buy the house, right? Is it fair to give that seller a deadline to purchase the property if they say yes? And then also ask them how they're going to finance it. Yes. Okay, so we'll agree that you'll talk to your tenant this Tuesday at 5 o'clock. You also agree that the tenant says they want to buy it, that you give them a deadline to buy the property. And then also they're going to have to give you a source of financing to buy that house. Is that correct? Yes. Okay, totally understandable. And if that works out and they buy it, great. You and I will walk away as friends. But if they don't, Mr. Seller, if they don't buy it by the deadline, what would you like to do then? And then shut up. Because immediately once the seller starts asking these questions, right, they're going to see that the tenant either A, is not that cooperative, or B, is not going to buy the property, and C, you are the most logical choice, and now you can buy that house, save the day, be the hero, and hopefully make a big $50,000 check by helping them move on to the next phase of their life. Okay, 3. If someone asks you how long you have been in business or what's your website, what they're really saying is, I don't trust you. Now, this is a very, very good one because most people think that you're going to gain a seller's trust by giving them the highest offer, right? And you're like, oh, I'm going to give you I'm going to be the highest offer here, and don't listen to those other investors because they're going to be much lower than I am, and they're trying to rip you off. And that's bullcrap. Because sellers want to know that they're going to do business with someone who they know, they like, and they trust. What do I mean by trust? It means that you're going to do what you say you are going to do. So don't negotiate a crappy deal, right? And then try to renegotiate it later because you can't negotiate the right way, right? I've talked about the no limit selling system, of course, but the issue there is you got to negotiate a good deal, one where you can make a profit. So don't be scared to do that. But the scenario here is, I don't trust you, right? Or how long you've been in business. I don't have a problem for you saying that. But if you tell a seller, oh, I've been in business for 10 years, that doesn't make them trust you anymore, right? You have to understand that. So I might say, hey, we happen to be in business for 10 years or 5 years or 3 years or whatever that is. But do you mind if I ask, why'd you ask me that question? Well, I want to make sure that you're reputable. Totally get it. Let me ask you a question. What does reputable mean to you? And they may spout off some things that are important to them. And so you ask them about that, you tell them about that. But really, the way that you build trust there at this point is make an appointment with them, show up on time for that appointment. If you're going to be late, call them and text them, and then make these micro commitments, even if you're going to make an appointment to call them, and make it. And be very, very, very upfront. I've also found out that the more blunt you are, if you're like, hey, listen, I'd love to be able to buy this house for the price you're asking, but for me, I got to be $50,000 less because I got to find a way to make a profit here. These blunt answers that most people are scared to say are the ones that actually make them trust you more because you're not hiding your true intentions. Never do this. I've seen a lot of rookie investors do this. They pretend like they're going to live in the property, and for some reason, like that's going to make the seller want to do business with them more. Nothing could be farther from the truth, especially when they realize you're not doing that. All right, number 4. I need time to move my stuff. That's code for I'm completely overwhelmed and I don't know what to do with it. So with that, ask clarifying questions. Say, hey, I totally get it. I know that you want to move your stuff. Have you thought about this before? How do you plan on moving your stuff? Where are you planning to move it to? Ask them those questions. Hey, let me ask you this. I'm not saying I could do this, but let's just say I bought this house from you. I gave you your cash, and either you could come in and leave everything you want from behind and pick out what you want. That's totally fine. Or I buy it, and after I buy it and give you your cash, I'll give you 2 weeks to come in here and collect anything you want. And if you still want all of it, I will pay to have all of this stuff moved to a storage unit for you. Is that something that would be even interesting to you, or probably not? Right now, it doesn't have to be that solution, right? But the word is, I need time to move my stuff. If you walk into a house and it's a hoarder situation, they don't need time to move their stuff, right? They are emotionally tied to it, and this is going to be a really rough go for them. So you need to walk them through that and help them with that and push the process forward, okay? This is all the system that I talk about. It's all about power questions, being upfront, getting to the root of the matter so that you can help them move on in the next phase of their life. All right. Number 5, call me next week. Now, what this really means is I'm going to drag this out for the rest of your real estate investing career, and you are going to waste your time, Mr. Investor. And so you want to clarify this is when you say call me next week, you want to leave a tight commitment here. So, Mr. Seller, why don't we do this? You want me to call you next week? All right. What is it that you'd like to accomplish between this week and next week? Well, I want to talk to my sister-in-law, who's also the beneficiary of this house that we inherited from my mother. Okay, and what do you think you guys are going to talk about? Well, at the end of the day, she wants 200,000. I want to sell for 150. Of course, I want more money, but I understand the property needs work. Okay, let me ask you this. I know, Mr. Seller, we talked about 150. When you tell her that you want to take this offer, what is she going to say? She's going to say, well, she's going to reject it. So do you see how I just saved myself like a week? Right? So what I will do at this point is I say, Mr. Seller, tell me a little bit about how she's going to reject it. Well, how is that going to make you feel? Well, this is annoying because I've been trying to sell this house for a year and she doesn't do any of the work and I'm here locally. And, she says the house could sell for 250 and that we're underselling it. So I totally get that. So I would say at this point, Mr. Seller, is it fair that if she rejects the offer for 200 and you want to take 150, would it be fair to tell her that if she wants to hold out for more money, that she is now responsible for selling the house and that you back away? Would that be fair? Right? And he'd say, yeah, that might work. Right? Okay, great. So we'll agree that you'll talk to your sister by Tuesday before we talk, that you'll give her my offer of 150, that she's probably going to reject. And if she rejects it, then you are going to tell her that she could take over the selling process and sell for 200. Is that correct? Yes. Great. Okay, so why don't we talk at 2 and then you'll let me know that conversation. By the way, is there a chance that after she says she's going to handle it or not handle it, that she may take the 150 after you give her that responsibility? Yeah, she might do that. Okay, great. So I'll talk to you at Tuesday. You let me know. By the way, if you change your mind and you want to tell me no, I'm not a fit, that is totally fine. Right? So you see how I did that? And so you push that forward. You set the conversation, you set the expectation of what they're going to talk about, and then you also set the expectation of what the seller is going to do if they get an objection from a partner. And so now I just saved myself weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks to do that, and I basically kept that fish on the line. So again, I talk about all this in the No Limit Selling System. If you want to take that free assessment, go to nextlevelwholesaling.com. Totally free. I highly recommend it, and I will talk to you on the next episode.